Good morning, everybody. So happy to see everybody here today. Yes, I have been running around with circus music playing, Jenny. It's always a mess when I decide to do this. For no other reason than I refuse to prepare the night before. So like I'm always making the board the morning of. And I don't like sleep super late on Saturdays. I wake up at 7, but like you get up, you feed the dog, shower, get ready, drink coffee, eat breakfast, and then it's like, oh crap, I gotta do this. And then you're doing it, and then you're like, oh, I gotta get in StreamYard, I gotta make sure social media is going, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, all of that is to say is that I'm a manic mess most of the time. And I'm super happy that you guys are here today. I know that there are a ton of live streams going on, so I'm really happy that you guys are here and hanging out with me. We won't be doing like any sprints or anything. We're just going to outline a story using tarot cards and Dan Harmon Story Circle. So if you are looking for some writing sprints, I know that other people have them going on today. So we're going to use Dan Harmon Story Circle. I'll explain it in a bit, but real quick, there's two things. I want to say hi to everybody, and then also I need to tell you guys about this weird dream I had last night. So let me scroll through my chatty chat, which is over here on this screen. So good morning to SM Ryan, the writer in the motivational setting. Jenny Noble is here. Hey to Sarah. And we've got JC Carpenter. Good to see you guys. Oh, Sage is here. Good morning, Sage. And Millie McAdams, good to see you. Oh, Adventures in Fantasy, thank you for joining me today. Hey, Benedict, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. And hey to Writer's Block and Victoria Reeds, good to see you. Victoria, oh wait, hang on. Here we go. I can actually click on these. Hello, I'm trying to find a way to have the windows open without the wind blowing things everywhere. New card choosing method. That would be awesome. Yeah, just leave your deck by an open window and like whatever blows off, that's like what your reading is supposed to be. I'm fine with that. I think that's cool. Oh, also thank you for telling me the board turned out cool. Like I am kind of trying to make this work. In that, like, this is the size of board I have, and cards are huge and whatnot, so I think this one is going to look a lot better than the Save the Cat one, just because Save the Cat had, so many little elements, and so this one only has 8, which makes it infinitely easier. I also think it's going to make the story a little bit more, what am I looking for? I think less cluttered, if that makes sense, Because, I mean, we can pull clarifying cards for everyone, but, like, if we wind up with just 8 cards and it makes, like, a really straightforward story, I think that that's going to be really cool. So, I am using, I bought a pack of washi tape from Michaels. Charles Smith, I think he's going to be here in a second, but he knows my obsession with Michaels because he also shares the obsession with Michaels. They have really cheap notebooks. Oh, it says Save the Cat. Damn it. We're going to take the banner off then. I forgot to update it. Again, running around like a chicken with my head cut off. That's what I do. Meant to update it, didn't happen. Anyway, so this washi tape, I bought a pack of like Mexican-inspired washi tape, and it says like Fiesta, and it's got all sorts of like flowers and stuff. So it's one of my favorite rolls. I need to go through some washi tape though, just because I am terrible about using it, and it's just always kind of a mess. Oh, hey to Cache, good to see you. Okay, gang, so we are going to get started. Jenny, cue circus music. Yes, that's kind of what it's like. It's a mess every time. Also, Sage, I didn't know that. You don't okay, so they don't have Michael's in South Africa. It is my favorite craft store. I know I shouldn't be going out, but it was like one of the first places I went when I felt kind of okay to go to a store. Definitely masked up and went in, but I bought these packs of sketchbooks that are just like really good notebooks. They had 2 packs for like $2 a piece, and I got a bunch of them. So, oh, that is rough, Benedict. That is rough. I'm so glad that you can make it today, though, and I completely understand if you need to go to sleep. So, if you need to sign off, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so real quick before we get started, in a second, I'm gonna explain kind of the story circle for those who've never used it before. But real quick, I need to tell you about a weird dream I had because my subconscious mind has been going crazy lately. Full disclosure, I've been eating a lot of junk before bed, and so that's probably what it is. But also, I think that, I don't know, I think that we can learn some stuff from our dreams. Maybe our subconscious mind is trying to tell us something sometimes, not all the time. Not all your dreams have meaning. So I had this dream last night that I was at this weird antique bookstore searching for a witch's grimoire, and I needed it to solve a mystery because I was going to do this magic or whatever. And then this girl I used to know from high school who I've recently fallen, well, not recently, who I fell out of friendship with like 7 years ago. That's recent in like the grand scheme of things, I suppose. She was there, but she had on like this really creepy like clown makeup, and she kept trying to like have a conversation with me, and I was like, I really have to do this, I can't talk right now, and she kept getting more and more angry at me for not hanging out with her. And it was really bizarre, and I think that my subconscious is just telling me that like I have to focus on my mission and not so much on the feelings of other people when those feelings don't matter. And that kind of sounds mean, but like we all have people in our lives whose feelings don't matter, you know? Like if it's a loved one, absolutely their feelings matter. If it's somebody that's just there to judge you, their feelings don't matter. So it was such a weird dream. And also like, side note, I have been working on this project. I don't want to give away too much yet, but it's going to be like a really fun notebook project for writers. So I'll be sharing more about that later as we get closer. So I think that's why my brain was like grimoire, but it's mostly notebooks. You know. Anyway, everybody loves Michaels. It looks like it in craft stores. Okay, so it's about 10:06, so I'm going to go ahead and explain the story circle. So pretend this is a circle. I thought about like using washi tape to make a circle, and then that got really stressful and I didn't, so you're getting like, you know, this X situation. So we start here and then we go around clockwise, just like you would with a clock. And so this is the simplified version. So the you, need, go, search, find, take, return, change. That's kind of like the one-word version of what this is. But instead, think of this so this is a simplified version of what the story is. But for this first spot here, it's a character in a zone of comfort. So that's your character at the very beginning of the story. That's your protagonist before, you have that inciting incident that makes them need to go on this adventure. So number 2 is they want something. So they realize that they need something in their life. That's basically like the inciting incident itself. Number 3 is they enter into an unfamiliar situation. So that's when they're going after what they need. Number 4, they adapt to that unfamiliar situation. I think you can kind of think of this as almost like the training montage where our character is learning the ropes and figuring out who they are, but maybe not necessarily like a one-to-one translation into that. Number 5, they get what they wanted. So, oh my goodness. I just realized this works really well with Sister Act 1, if you guys remember that movie. Fun fact about me, I love Sister Act 1 and 2. I am prepared at any given moment to give a TED Talk on those films if anyone will have me. So anyway, that's not what's important right here. So number 5, they get what they wanted. So they find the thing that they've been looking for. And then number 6, they pay a heavy price for it. So that could be where like Ariel in The Little Mermaid gives up her voice in order to get legs. You know, she pays a very heavy price for it. Number 7, then they return to their familiar situation. Well, maybe not necessarily Ariel losing her voice. Maybe giving up that, that's when she like gives up her dream in order to save. It's been a long time since I've seen The Little Mermaid. I shouldn't have used that as an example. I have no idea. Anyway, so basically they pay a heavy price for getting the thing that they wanted. Then they return to this familiar situation. They come back home and they've changed. So forget the Little Mermaid thing. That's important. But in the Sister Act thing, if we think about Sister Act 1 and 2, this is when Sister Mary Clarence, aka Dolores Van Cartier, played by Whoopi Goldberg, she gets what she wants. That's when she finds out that she can actually leave the convent and testify, but that means she wouldn't be able to perform for the Pope, which is a very important plot point in the story. Anyway, okay, so that's what we're working with. There's a lot of information on the Story Circle, so if you just Google Dan Harmon Story Circle, Reedsy has a pretty good blog post on it, but also I think it's like the fandom wiki has like a whole mini free e-course on it. And Rachel Stephen, the Scottish author tuber, she also has like a whole series on it. She uses it. She calls it the plot embryo. So it just kind of depends on what you want to call it. It's like a lot of people really use it, and it's a great way. Like you can draw this on one page. That's Rachel Stevens' whole thing. Like she has this how to plot on one page free email course if you're interested. And so you go through and you basically use this circle and you plot out whatever you're gonna do. So it's pretty cool. So good morning to everybody who has popped in. Hey to the Naked Firefly, good to see you. And who else we got? Adventures in Fantasy is down for my TED Talk. And Cash, I love Sister Act. Yes, so I love those. They're on Disney Plus right now, and I wish that they weren't because I'm about to get rid of Disney Plus. But, here we are. So, okay. Hey to Laurel Webb, good to see you. What's up, Steven? Okay. If I were your English Lit creative writing teacher, you would be in trouble because the only stories I would reference would be like Sister Act and The Lord of the Rings. And those don't like really translate together, but those are the stories that are in my heart. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to pull a card for each of these. So we'll start here and I'll go back over them as we go through. I'll pull one for sure. If we need to, we can pull clarifying cards. Also, if you guys have tarot cards at home, one of the cool things about this stream is that people have been outlining along with me and pulling cards. So I do not use a guidebook when I read cards. I kind of just assume that the universe will tell me what I need to know with the images that I need to see in order to know that thing. Maybe that's how you vibe. Maybe it's not. It's cool. So I don't read the guidebook when I do tarot cards. And for this, I am using the Smith Rider-Waite deck. Fully acknowledge that it is problematic in a lot of ways, very white, very heteronormative. The only reason I use this deck when I do this is because I'm putting tape on the cards, and there's no way in hell that I'm putting tape on my good cards. So that's what it is. If only that could be a field of study in college. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull our first card. So our first card is going to be for the character in the zone of comfort. So who do we have? Ooh, I don't like that I pulled this one, but here we are. Okay. Oh, hang on. There it is. Okay, you can see it. We have the 8 of Wands. So this is a weird card in that it's just kind of 8 sticks flying through the air at nothing. And Wands are the cards, they're ruled by fire, that's their element. So they're cards of passion. I often think of them in terms of creativity or entrepreneurship. Oh, Benedict drew the same one. That's bizarre. I wonder what the universe is trying to tell us today. So Wands are the cards of passion, of fire, of creativity, of inspiration. 8s are a weird card to me for multiple reasons. I always think of this as kind of rampant creativity, passion that has nowhere to go. So for me, this card is all about like somebody that has a lot of energy, a lot of fire, a lot of spirit, but they have no idea what to do with it. So it's not necessarily that it has to be a person, but for me, that's kind of what this card brings up. So, ooh, Victoria got the 6 of Swords, so that's interesting. And Sarah Keefe got the 10 of Swords. Ooh, that's a dark one. So I think for me, my character in a zone of comfort is somebody who has a lot of creative energy and a lot of passion, and like a lot of drive and inspiration, but maybe they don't know what to do with it. So yeah, Steven says misguided energy. So I think that that's a good way to think of it. So we have somebody, could be man, could be woman, could be non-binary, who knows? Somebody who is full of creativity and passion, but has no idea what to do with it. Or maybe they're the type of person that kind of goes around and starts fights with strangers because they have all this energy. Or maybe they're like creating a bunch of art that looks weird and creepy because they're not focusing the energy in the way it needs to. Maybe they're, I don't know what it is. So we'll see as we get kind of the cool thing about pulling tarot cards for this purpose is the more cards you pull, the clearer it makes the message of the first one. So I'm going to let you know up front, this board is going to look kind of janky as we go, just because, well, some of you have been here before, you know, like I'm taping cards to a board and you're watching and it's kind of a mess, but here we are. So our character in the zone of comfort is somebody with a lot of energy, a lot of fire, a lot of passion, and they're kind of just throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks. So we need to figure out what it is they want. And so I think that with the way that this outlining method works, I think we're going to find out what they want, but it's going to be like a thought that just kind of strikes them. It's like something that comes up out of nowhere. And that's kind of what makes it cool. And it's also what makes it work for shows like Rick and Morty and Community, which are shows that Dan Harmon, who created this method, that he is a part of. So let's see. So what do we got? Hang on. Sage says she got the Emperor, stability or stabilizing influence coming into your life. Interesting. Okay, so they need, what do they want? Oh, okay. That's interesting. So what do they want? We've got the 10 of Wands. So again, Wands ruled by fire, cards of passion, creativity. The 10 is the end of the number cycle in the tarot. So it goes ace through 10, and then you have page, knight, queen, and king. So 10 is the end of a cycle, start of something new. So for me, this kind of says they want some kind of accomplishment. They want that knowledge that they've created something, that something good has come of all of their energy, of their work, and they are going to reap the rewards of it. So on this card, you see a person with a big bundle of 10 wands, and it's like they're going to put them away in the shed or something, you know? So I always think of this card as like, I've done a hard day's work, now it's time to put things away. So, ooh, that's interesting. So Adventures in Fantasy says, I keep forgetting that everyone else sees wands as fire. I switched them with swords. So wands are air and swords are fire. Ooh, interesting. I've heard a lot of people that do that. Not a lot, but I know that some people do. And I think it definitely works. They're both kind of similar in shape, if that makes sense. I'm trying real hard not to say like phallic symbols, but you know, here we are. So I think that that works though. If it works for you, do that. I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. Okay. So what we have so far, we have a character with a lot of energy and creativity and passion and fire, and they really want to accomplish something. So what we're going to find is that they're going to go off on this journey to, you know, basically create that sort of accomplishment, I think. Okay. Ooh, you guys are getting some interesting cards here. So Benedict got Knight of Cups. Sage says Knight of Swords. And Sarah says, 3 of Wands. Ooh. Ooh, I like that. Maybe my 10 of Swords needs some travel. I like it. Okay. So far we've got 2 of them. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the 3rd one. We ready for that? We feeling good so far? So number 3, they enter an unfamiliar situation. So I'm thinking that unfamiliar situation would be in order to achieve that accomplishment, but we shall see. So I'm going to pull a card. And just a note for those of you who are following along, I just pull a card when it feels right to pull a card. I am definitely like a more feeling, sensing sort of person. I know that a lot of writers, sorry, Rosie's outside the door shaking and very irritated that she's not in here right now. I know a lot of writers are more analysts and, you know, think more on the intellectual level. I've gone kind of full on senses and intuition, and I'm not looking back. So there we are. So I'm going to pull 1 card for entering an unfamiliar situation. Okay. So we have 6 of Pentacles. Okay. So Pentacles are ruled by Earth. Hang on. I got to figure out which direction the camera moves when I move. I think I've talked about that before when you live stream, like you move one direction and it goes the other on the camera because it's flipped. Anyway, so 6 of Pentacles. Pentacles are ruled by Earth. So a lot of people think of these solely as money. I think of it more as like how we feel about being bound to this earthly realm. if that makes sense. So, like, we have to exist on this planet while we are here, but, you know, we get to choose the creature comforts we want, and we get to choose, you know, the things that matter to us right now. So I think that this is all about what matters to us right now. So we see a person holding scales in one hand and passing out coins with the other to two people on their knees. And so I think that this is kind of a metaphor for a lot of things. You could think of the person in the red with the scales as somebody, you know, giving out money, as giving out justice, as giving out information. It kind of depends on how, you know, the other cards that are near it. But because we have two wands here, I'm thinking that this is somebody using their creative fire and passion to help others. And so maybe this is a person that has realized that their creative energy is best, you know, as a teacher, or maybe in a nonprofit setting, or maybe if we want to make it kind of a fantasy story, maybe this was about a young wizard who wants to accomplish something great. So they're going to go on a quest to help out some people. It kind of depends on how you want the story to go. So we can put it in functionally any genre, but I think that this card is speaking to helping others in some way. And so I'm not sure necessarily what that helping is, and we might not find out until we get all the cards on the board. But I think that it kind of depends on how you want to view it. It can be financial generosity. So Stephen says generosity. So it could be financial. It could be, you know, like intellectual generosity. It could be creative generosity. It could be just like working for somebody for free. Who knows? Ooh, Sarah got the Hermit. That's interesting. So that's kind of like the journey where you go off on your own and learn things. I like that. Sage got the Hanged Man. Ooh, getting stronger oneself after a lot of deliberating and delaying in your life. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Callie Angel says 8 of Wands, rumors and gossip coming at you, fast-moving ideas, a message. I like that. It kind of depends on how you view guidebooks and what they say about each of the cards, like whether or not they're bad or good. I tend to ignore guidebooks that, you know, give bad or good meanings to each card, because at the end of the day, like, all things are bad, all things are good. Like, everything has a light side and a shadow side. So if you think about it, like, optimism is a beautiful thing, except for when you are relentlessly optimistic and don't let yourself experience the bad emotions that you have to. So everything is good, everything is bad. So I do like a lot of guidebooks, but I kind of get irritated when some of them say, like, oh, it's a bad omen. But, like, is it? Who knows? Anyway, that's just Marissa's preaching for the day. Okay. Let's see. Oh, hey to Christine Calhoun. Good to see you. Let's see here. Okay. I'm gonna need to pull another card, I suppose. That's how this is gonna go. Do you ever just, like, anybody with a YouTube channel, do you ever just find yourself, like, on a live stream and then, like, you forget that you're streaming for just a second? You're like, oh, let me come back to myself and remember that I'm doing a thing. No? Just me? Okay. Makes sense. So number 4, they're going to adapt to this unfamiliar situation. Oh, Sarah says, I agree. That's why I don't read reversals, and I'm wary of some guidebooks. Yes, I like that. I mean, look, everybody's free to read the tarot however they want. I do think, though, that, I don't know, that, like, symbols are universal, but they're also not, based on your culture. And so you might see an image that, like, to you means hard work, but to another person might mean exhaustion. So I think that they can mean a lot of things. And it's just a matter of, you know, putting your energy behind it and then, like, looking at all the cards around it. Okay. So number 4, adapt to it. So, okay. Let's do number 4. Let's do it, because then we'll be halfway through this, and then we can take stock and go back and figure out if we've kind of chosen a direction yet. So number 4, they adapt to it. Ooh, okay. That's interesting. We've got the 6 of Wands. And so this is a card that a lot of people read as victory. Again, wands are fiery passion, creativity, unless who was it? Adventures in Fantasy. You said that you read them as air. That's totally cool. So for me, this is fiery passion and creativity, and this is kind of coming home. I think of it as like victory, as showing up, as getting like the rewards you deserve. So it's a man coming home. He's got a wreath of victory on his head. There's one on his wand. He's riding that horse back home. It's kind of like a parade setting. So that does make sense here in that, you know, this is where they adapt to their surroundings. And so when you adapt, that's kind of when you're able to really thrive. And this is a card all about thriving and, you know, getting recognized for the good work that you've done. So we've got, well, let me put this up here because this is kind of becoming an interesting story. So we have somebody with a lot of energy, not really sure what to do with it. They want to achieve a kind of accomplishment. And so they go on a quest where they can give their energy to others. So I'm wondering if, just kind of because I read, for you guys, you've seen me do this before, like I tend to make every story about an artist, and I don't know why, but that's who I am, and it's fine. So I'm wondering if maybe what we're getting here is an artist, or maybe it's like a magic person. Maybe it could be an artist or a wizard. I kind of like those ideas. I'm totally open to whatever you guys think, though, so let me know. But like maybe we have a witch or a wizard here with all this energy, and they want to do good with their magic, and that's what they want here. They want to achieve something nice. So they go on this journey where they can give their gifts to somebody. And that's when they really adapt and see that they are able to do good things with their work and that they are praised for that. So that's a way we could look at that. Let's see what you guys are getting now. Sage knows what I'm saying. So sometimes you completely forget that you're live and it's a mess. And I think it's a part of being a writer. Like your brain is just like, you know, wants to daydream all the time. Okay. So, ooh, that's interesting. So for Sarah's search one, you know, like the adapting to your situation, they get the Page of Swords. So I love swords, but I think it's because I read them as air, and I'm a Libra with an Aquarius moon, so very much air energy over here. I really need to learn more about horoscopes, and I really want to take a course. But also at the same time, I'm like, you need to, you know, do work and make money before you start buying courses and whatnot. Anyway, so where'd it go? Sage said, 4 of Wands, happy home, possible home setting. I'm getting definite August Osage County vibes out of this reading. That is stressful. I have a love-hate with that story because it is about Oklahoma. It's definitely kind of a prairie gothic sort of story about how messy life is in Oklahoma. I think that like, and maybe Cache can like speak to this. I think that a lot of people in Oklahoma want you to think that it's like the perfect state to raise a family and it's very happy all the time. But it's really dark and gloomy here in some places. And also like, there are a lot of places that are super undeveloped because of just the oil and gas industry and how they've kind of stripped the land and you know, it's all stolen land anyway. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so Callie says 6 of Pentacles. 3 people in this situation helping someone that is less fortunate than them, disciplining students or children. Interesting, I like it. Yeah, but it's like a wand day. And I'm wondering, so this is just me being like the space cadet I am, but that's who I am, and I think that's why you guys are here. I've been in like a super creative space lately, and just feeling like I have had all these weird thoughts strike my mind that are going to make my life better and easier. And I think maybe that energy is what's coming through with the cards right now. That's why I'm pulling a lot of wands, but maybe not. Who knows? Many things are true at once. Ooh, I kind of get that. I see that a lot, Stephen. So he says The Savior's Champion by Jenna Moresi. I love that book. I'm actually currently reading The Savior's Sister. Shh, don't tell. So far, I'm really loving it. I need to catch up with the street team challenges because I've been really awful about that, but here we are. So yeah, it's good stuff though. I really like that vibe, and I love that setting too, because I think a lot of fantasy novels kind of get put in that kind of white Western European sort of setting, which is fine. But I think that it's really fun to see fantasy novels set in like kind of an ancient Roman setting, which is what you get with that story. So if you haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. Okay, so Benedict says, you 8 of Wands, need Knight of Cups. Go 6 of Wands, search 7 of Wands. Interesting. So you were on the wand train as well. This is bizarre. Ooh, Christine also got Page of Swords. Interesting. Alley Cat says, I'm a Libra too, and I love swords. Yes, it's because it's all air energy. Like, there's a lot of well, there's a lot of air and fire in my chart, so I'm like super, you know, like whatever will be, but also like I will destroy you if I feel it necessary. Which sounds awful, but I usually use my energy for good causes. Like there are some things that need to be destroyed. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, that's nice, Callie. I like going without the guidebook. You mean not everyone in Oklahoma sings the famous song from Oklahoma? No, we don't. Although, like, whenever you tell somebody you're from Oklahoma, they start singing the song and you're like, oh, I've never heard that one before, you know? Not that I dislike the song for any reason, but I feel like that song doesn't really encapsulate what it's like being in Oklahoma in the year 2020. Ooh, a Pisces with a Sagittarius moon. Interesting. I don't know anything about Sagittariuses. Sag is fire, right? I can't remember. No idea. I think it's fire. I could be wrong. Anyway, that's not important. Okay. Ooh. Come on, chat, catch up. Okay, so let's see here. We've got a few. Oh, okay. Oh, hang on. Where'd we go? Cache says that didn't happen to me until author tube. Yep, makes sense. Sage says, I have no idea what my chart is, but I'm a Scorpio married to a Scorpio with a Scorpio best friend. Ooh, Scorpio. I love, well, okay, so I'm a Libra on the cusp of Scorpio with a Scorpio rising and an Aquarius moon. And so Scorpio is all fire. It is often misunderstood as like one of the worst, angriest signs. And I think that that's definitely like the shadow side of it. But I think that for the most part, it's just kind of like fiery passion and into what you're into. And you don't have time for nonsense from others. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like it. So Christine says the Prisma Vision Tarot deck swords is amazing. 3 swords, giant killer swans. That is amazing. I need to take a look. Like you guys gotta quit telling me about tarot decks because I just funded one on Kickstarter that was $80 and I need to quit spending money on tarot decks, especially since like so many pretty ones are coming out. Oh, but I'm gonna look up that one for sure. Oh, where'd it go? Okay, so Cache says, yes, Sag is fire, and yes, we are. I love that. Fire sign. Laurel says, Oklahoma the musical is also pretty grim when you think about it. Yeah, it's terrifying. Like, it has nothing to do with the state and everything to do with, like, a creepy ranch hand wanting to murder somebody so he can rape a girl. Like, it's so bizarre. Like, it's not great. But yes, Laurel, thank you for bringing that up because, like, I feel like some of the songs are so hopeful, but there are some that are really dark, and that's just kind of that Rodgers and Hammerstein sort of vibe. Fun fact, I took History of American Musical Theater in college because I was an English major, and you got to take nonsensical classes like that. And so I know a lot more about musical theater than I care to say. So real quick, my chat just, I have the YouTube chat pulled up over here on a different screen, and it's showing me that a lot of your comments have been hidden. So I'm trying to like approve them as they come in. But just know that that's, if yours doesn't show up, that's what's going on. Okay. Ooh, Benedict is a Sagittarius. That's interesting. My friend Allie is a Sagittarius. And I don't know anything else about her chart, but I've known her since the 6th grade, and we are still very good friends. So I like that. Yes, not angry, just passionate and dedicated and fiercely loyal. Exactly. Ooh, Adventures in Fantasy. I'm a Taurus with Aquarius and Gemini. If I wasn't destined to be a writer, then I'll eat a brick. No, that makes sense. I love that. But it's good that you have like that Taurus Earth energy with that Aquarius and Gemini air business, because otherwise it's kind of a mess. Okay. I definitely need to start like getting moderators, but like it's a problem in that I always forget that I'm going live until like the moment before, so I need to like make it happen. I need to think like ahead of time and get some moderators in there to just approve comments. Okay. Let's see. Sarah says, I've had to stop buying new tarot decks, can't spend the money, and also my tarot shelf has no more room. I'm taking that as a sign. Yeah, it's a problem. And like if you think you like buying books, once you start buying those tarot decks, like it's a mess, you guys. That's interesting. I've never seen like the highlights, but sometimes I know that happens to some people. I wonder if I can, let's see. There we go. Okay. I think that I just clicked a thing that might make it easier. We'll see. Again, like I use technology the way your granny does. So if something on my channel isn't working, just know it's because I don't like technology and I'm an old grumpy lady, really, at heart. That's who I am on the inside. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull another card. So we're going to do the second half of the reading. So again, we have a fiery, passionate person that wants to achieve something. They are going to go on a quest to help others, and they're going to adapt to it and kind of start reaping the rewards of this journey. So we'll see if we can get some more information about what they want. So number 5, they're going to get what they wanted. Let's see. Ooh, Knight of Swords. So this is an interesting card for a lot of reasons. I like the Knights. I think they're either really good or really terrible. And a lot of that is because they're such active cards. But if you think about like the King Arthur myth, the knights were, doing great, fantastic things. They were going on quests. They were finding the Holy Grail. But when they didn't have something to do with it, like Lancelot was in the castle straight up sleeping with King Arthur's wife, which is a problem, right? So I think that knights are always energy that needs to be put to good use. And I think that kind of plays into this 8 of Wands of having like that energy that needs to go somewhere. So for me, because I read the wands as fire, it's kind of from fire to air. And so because this is our first sword. Okay, so for me, swords are cards ruled by air, and they're all about kind of intellectual brain boundaries that we have. Maybe not necessarily about intelligence, but like I think about how we interact with our world, how our brain like interprets our world, and how we put up boundaries to keep ourselves safe, or how we like use information for good or evil, kind of. So we have the Knight of Swords. So I'm wondering if in this process of, achieving a certain level of success, they learn something about themselves. Like maybe they thought they were doing a good thing, and maybe it was good for a certain group of people, but maybe they learned that they've done something wrong. And, ooh, I like that. Okay, so let me try to explain this here. So you know how sometimes when you try to help somebody, it might hurt somebody else. And, like a lot of people will talk about the greater good and how that's important. But what if in this quest, our magician or witch or, wizard, whatever we want this person to be, they have all this energy, they want to achieve something, they're going to use it to help some people, and they're going to, get a certain amount of accolades for that. But then they find that by helping these people that they've hurt others, and now it's time to, or they realize, well, this is the get what they wanted card. So maybe, they get what they wanted. Interesting. So I'm open to any interpretations on this for sure, Z's. But I'm thinking when they get what they wanted, they realize that maybe it wasn't necessarily what they wanted. Maybe there's something bittersweet about having achieved this level of success. Maybe they're no longer allowed to use their work in like a creative and passionate way, and now it's more like intellectual and boring, and it doesn't have the same fire. Just who knows? Who knows? Let's see. I'm interested to know what you think, so I'm going to pop in the chat and see what we've got. Let's see. We won't talk about the 13 or so decks that I have because I'm slightly obsessed. I feel you. Okay. So Sage got the 3 of Wands, travel, overland, surveying your kingdom. I'm still feeling a kind of funeral or a strange parent. Got to grow up and take care of business story from this. I totally get that. I love 3 of Wands, but it depends on the context, because I think 3 of Wands kind of speaks to the possibilities in front of you, but also like sometimes you don't want all of those possibilities, and it's kind of like it's the difference between like having a ton of beautiful options and having a ton of anxiety about picking something terrible. So. Ooh, Benedict got 9 of Swords. Interesting. Oh, that's fun. Sarah got the Fool. I love that. The Fool is my favorite card. I'm a queen of fresh starts, and I love starting things over and just like, you know, like a fresh notebook, new planner. That's my vibe. Charles said, by the way, I love rewatching this 40 or 50 times. That is a lot of rewatching, sir. You are welcome to do so, and I will not stop you. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm leaning, Sage, the Hall of Victory. And yeah, I think that Charles also said, like, so they get what they wanted, it could mean they needed to put in too much once they found out. I think that might be kind of where it's leaning. Maybe it's taking a toll on them, or maybe they're finding that they need to actively put boundaries in place because they're being taken advantage of. So like, maybe through trying to help people and getting that achievement, it's kind of made them vulnerable. So if we want to say that maybe it's like a magician, because I'm just going to keep going with this, like it's a witch and it makes me happy, and that's where my heart is right now, and so that's the story. Sorry if anybody else wanted to change it. Too late. So I'm wondering if they're using all of their powers and they don't have enough energy, and that's what's making this victory hollow. And so now they're kind of, they need to put this boundary in place, but the boundary is gone. And maybe that's what this is speaking to, because I always think of the Knight of Swords as like an active choice between having a boundary and not having a boundary. And I think that this could be speaking to like the need for them to have one, but they don't have the energy to put it up anymore. So, but I'm totally, oh, yeah, Charles says, taking advantage of, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, I think that that's kind of where it's at. But we'll see what we get when we get to this point, because that, I think that'll completely change. Well, maybe not change, or maybe reaffirm what we've said. Benedict says, right now, I think I have a creative who goes undercover and finally gets the praise she has been wanting all along, but it is not her they are praising, but her false persona. I love that. I would read that. I like that a lot. Okay. I'm going to take a quick drink because I'm losing my voice. Okay. Since I've stopped teaching, I lose my voice so quickly. But when I was teaching, it was just me shouting like all day long. So it was like, all right, now when we write a paper, we start with the introduction. What does your introduction have to have? And then my students like looking at me like, why is she so excited about papers? Because that's who I am. You know, it's weird. Ooh, who pays the price? Yes, that's a good question. Okay, I like this. So I think let's pull the next one, because they're going to pay a heavy price for it. So let's see what that price is, because I think this will inform this card. Ooh, okay. So they pay a heavy price for it. So we got the 3 of Cups. So this is our first Cups card on this spread. So for me, Cups are ruled by water. So they're all about emotions or brain chemicals, depending upon how you look at it. Completely up to you. But I always think of Cups as kind of like those emotions that, you know, completely take over and, you know, really shape your day, because they're the ones that can't be controlled. It's not just kind of like, oh, that's interesting. It's kind of like the, oh my God, nothing is the same forever sort of emotions. So when I see the Three of Cups, I think that this card is often thought of as like celebration of coming together. There are three women dancing and they've got like their cups in the air and they're like cheering each other. So I think in this way, this person has given up a lot, but has come together with these other people. And maybe it could be that these people are reaping more of a reward from it than our protagonist is. So I think of it kind of like these people are coming together, they're celebrating what they've achieved, but we know that our protagonist has kind of, they've gotten what they wanted, and it's kind of this air energy night situation, and the heavy price they're paying for it is this partnership. So this partnership is the heavy price. And I wonder if it's like they've entered into this deal to keep this cycle going for forever, or I don't know. How do we feel about this? This is one of the reasons why I don't like the plot embryo that much, because it is so direct. So we're almost to the end of this. So is our character, is this going to be a tragedy? Is that what this is? How do we feel about that? Tragedies make me sad. Okay. Where'd we go? Focus, Marissa. Okay, so Sage says she got judgment, decisions pending finality, the only decision that can be made under the circumstances. Interesting. I always think of judgment as like an internal sort of thing, and also that card is creepy as hell, and I have it on my vision board this year because it is the 20th tarot card and it's 2020 this year, so it's always looking at me, but I always think of like judgment always in kind of the internal sense because that's when it really matters. So interesting. I like it though. Sarah says the Hierophant, gonna have to think about that. I always have a hard time figuring this card out. At least this deck doesn't have a Pope figure on it. Yes. I can't remember which deck it was. I don't remember. I saw one and the Hierophant was just like a happy little kid that wasn't sitting in like a meditation position, and I was like, that's beautiful. I want this deck. And then I didn't buy it because I'm trying not to buy decks, and now I don't even remember what it is. Sage, I love a good tragedy, and Christine says, embrace the sad. Good morning, Dana. Good to see you. So Sarah says, I'm also not clear what this take beat is about. Yeah, so the take beat is them paying a heavy price for it. So something is taken from them. And usually, like in the story, that's when our protagonist gives up everything that they've had or that they've gained, and then you think all is lost, and then they get what they wanted and so much more. So I'm trying to think of it in those terms, but I'm not sure. So using the Arthur, Guinevere, Lancelot triad, they might see that they need to invest so much with the cost, the cost of keeping things on the down low. Interesting. I like that. Yeah, and I think that kind of plays into that. It may have been the Light Seers Tarot, Sarah. I'm not sure. Okay, so I want to work this out. Let's do this one more time because these two beats mess me up because my brain wants to put them like at the end of the first act, but this is really like the climax part of the story. So I think that that's the problem with this method for me, is that I'm used to such like a longer outlining method. So I'm going to go through again and see what I can do here, because I thought this one would do really, really well, but I'm wondering if this is too little and if we need clarifying cards on some of these. So, okay. So we have somebody with a magical ability. They have this energy that they want to put into some work, but they're not sure what to do. They really want to achieve something in their life. So they go on this quest where they're giving their gifts to others in order to help them. And they achieve a certain level of success. And maybe, okay, this is where they get what they wanted. So they've achieved that. They've achieved this. So they've achieved that level of success, but now rather than it being fully creative, maybe it's more of an intellectual pursuit at this point. And in order to get things going and happy, or I don't know, we've got a group together. I am not enjoying this, so. Oh, that's a good point, Laurel. Laurel says, Obi-Wan's death in Star Wars A New Hope is the take that I usually think of. Yeah, it could be losing a mentor. It could be losing somebody important. Not sure what it is yet. I think we're going to pull another card on this. For the Three of Chalices, I also found hardcore partying as one of the interpretations. Ooh, I do like that. And that's definitely like a shadow side of that card. So maybe it's kind of like the work hard, play hard sort of vibe. Like they've achieved this level of success and now they're thinking their art or their magic is more an intellectual pursuit. And at the end of the day, they're partying hard to kind of, blow off steam. And maybe they're no longer the person that they were when this started. Interesting. So Adventures in Fantasy says, so would it be fair to say that the circle is good to get a general idea of the plot and then you could take this and make it more detailed with another method? Yes. So I think I like this method, but I also know that I want to add 18 more story beats right here. So I think that it's good. And it's good for shorter stories because this was typically used for like a 30-minute TV show episode. So I think it's good for like a really good story skeleton, but I do think it needs a lot more meat. And I think I'm going to pull clarifying cards on these before we move on, just to kind of, make it seem more logical. Oh, hey, thanks, Dana. I love it. That's such a pretty rose, too. So Jenny says, I would use this method for each act instead of the whole story. Might work better that way. Ooh, I agree. I like that too. Yeah, because each act in and of itself is kind of like a short story. So I think that would work a lot better than what we've got going on here. Charles says, after the take beat, you need the last 2 beats for resolution. Take the solo carbonite freezing beat here. Ooh, okay. I like that. Agreed. Agreed. Oh, hey, no problem, Dana. I'm really enjoying this. Like, I love doing this. Today, it's kind of a mess. We're seeing how this goes. Okay, let's see. Okay. I think so, but I also think that I think it's great for short stories for sure. I think it's good like when you've got kind of a vague story idea. So, like when your story is in your brain and you're not sure what it is yet, I think this will give you a lot of the backbone you need, and then you can add a lot more. So I don't know. I think it might be hard to do with tarot cards too. I think like some stories are more fleshed out naturally, or more outlining methods are more fleshed out naturally just because of how things are working. So it might not be great for this. So I think I'm going to pull a clarifying card for find and take. So real quick, number 5, they get what they wanted and they pay a heavy price for it. So let's see if I can pull a card that'll clarify this Knight of Swords business, because I think that will make it a little bit easier. Then we can finish this up maybe with a better situation. Okay. This is helpful, I think. We'll see. So on this one, this is the number 5, get what they wanted. We got the Knight of Swords. And then I pulled this clarifying card, which is the 4 of Cups. So again, cups are the cards of emotion. I think of this card as the Zen Master. So this is somebody who is sitting under a tree. They've got their 3 cups in front of them. And then out of thin air, like you can see, it's literally a cloud trying to hand them another cup. But they sit there quietly and they're just like, okay, cool. That's fine. Whatever. You can throw emotions at me all day, but I got this. So maybe what they're finding isn't that they need this boundary, it's that they've achieved this level where they can use their creativity and their passion kind of in this intellectual way, and they are stronger than they've ever been before because they've achieved this sense of emotional balance. So 4s in the tarot are typically kind of like small celebrations or like moments when you have just achieved something pretty big before you go on to like fight the big boss. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like when you graduate from high school, that's awesome, yay, I did this thing, and then like, oh crap, there's so much more left to do, because either I'm going to go to college or I'm going to start a job or, you know, stuff like that. So high school is difficult. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying that life gets a lot harder outside of high school. So I think of it that way. So this is a time when you are celebrating kind of an emotional level of balance, of having achieved that. And then we're going to go into the next one. So this is a mess, and I apologize. But you guys, if you've been to my channel before, you know everything's a mess. That's how I roll. It's not great, but, you know, we're working with what we have here. So, okay. Okay, so I'm going to pull one more for take. So take is they pay a heavy price for it. So because they have achieved this intellectual level of, you know, like looking at their art and using it, art or magic or whatever it is, and they're using it kind of an intellectual way, then they've become kind of this Zen master, and they are in this partnership. Ooh, we got our first major, guys. So we've got the moon. The moon is a weird card, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily feel a lot about it. I always think of it as a strange path to walk. And maybe this is our character realizing that they have to walk this strange path that maybe the people in their partnership don't necessarily have to. Let me explain. I'm very excited. This all makes sense now. So with the moon card, you'll see up front that we have a lobster coming out of a stream, walking down a path between 2 dogs, and then there are 2 like kind of obelisk sort of situations on the outside, but the lobster has to walk this path, okay? So let me chat about this card. So in a lot of religions, lobster are considered, you know, things you don't eat. You don't eat shellfish because they're dirty, and like, if we're being honest, they're basically bugs, right? They're water bugs. It's creepy and weird. Also, I love the way seafood tastes. I hate the way it looks when it's alive. So there are a lot of religions where you're not allowed to eat shellfish of any kind. And I think what this is speaking to is like kind of an outsider. It's a creepy creature. So our protagonist is an outsider that has to walk this dangerous path alone. They're a person that, like you can see that this path kind of, oh, there's the light. This path kind of goes up through these hills here between those dogs and all that. And so this is the path that they have to take, and this is where they are going. So let me explain where I think the story has gone now. Okay. So here we go. We've got, I'm going to call him a magician. I think we've got a magician now. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So we have somebody with all this magical energy, and they want to achieve something great with their work. So they go on this quest where they're going to help others with their magic, and they achieve a certain level of success for it. But in doing so, they realize that they've had to kind of balance out this fiery energy with their intellectual and emotional self. That's what it meant to get everything together. So like everything is working together now for their passion, and they're paying a heavy price for this, because in order to have this greatness, this achievement, they had to partner with people, and they're walking this path alone. So I'm wondering if this partnership is more of an internal partnership between like emotions, intellectual power, and creativity all coming together in order for them to be this grand magician or wizard or witch or whatever we want to say. And then they're going to walk this path alone because they have achieved this success. And in order to have this success, it means that they have to be alone, and that is the heavy price that they're paying. So we'll see. Oh, so Sarah says, I pulled a clarifier for my take, which is the Hierophant, and got the Knight of Swords. Ooh, that is stressful. And Christine says, oh, so it's like a Merlin origin story. Yeah, it kind of is. I like it a lot now. I think those clarifying cards really helped because I think that I was thinking of it maybe too broadly or too soon in the character's story. So yeah, I think we definitely have like a magical person that has to walk this path alone. So now we have Merlin. They're going to return to their familiar situation. So let's see what that person, our Merlin-y, magician-y, witch situation, let's see what they look like when they return. Charles, your comment. I love your use of emojis. You are like the emoji king. I appreciate that. Lobster wine solo dolo because they think they got it. Yep. That is awesome. Mind blown. Okay, so number 7, they return to their familiar situation. Whoo boy. Okay, so we got the 6 of Swords. Swords, again, cards ruled by air for me, not necessarily for everyone. So I think of them as ruled by air. And we have somebody kind of rowing this boat or gondola or kayak, and then there are 2 people in there, and there's a bunch of swords just kind of stuck in the bottom of a boat, which seems like a bad idea. Like, don't poke holes in a boat. That's a bad idea, right? Like, we all agree on that. I'm not crazy. So these are people kind of wading through the waters. And so remember, water is associated with emotions. And so for me, I think of this card as kind of like wading through emotions with your intellectual power, because, you know, we have these people, we have this boat, we have these swords. I'm interested to know kind of what that means in this context. So I think that they know now that they can go on this path, that they are back to using that energy, but they are going to have to, you know, use this boat to kind of wade through these emotional powers. Sage says, slightly off topic, if anyone's looking for fun, grim, dark, but not too dark kind of magic fantasy romp, might I suggest The End of Magic by Mark Stay? Interesting. I've never heard of that. I'm interested to know more about it. Sage, can you give me like a 2-sentence, non-spoilery review? Oh, dropping stuff everywhere I go. Okay. Jenny, get out of here with that noise. We all float down here. Okay. Oh, that's interesting, Sage. So Sage got the Fool, literally jumped out of the deck. Good friends, happiness, need to take a giant leap forward. I'm going to wait until the end and see if I need to draw clarifiers. I think that's cool. Like it. Sarah got the Knight of Pentacles for the return. I love that. Ooh, Benedict got Temperance for the return. Interesting. Temperance is a weird card for me. I get it. I don't get it very often. And then when I do, I'm like, oh, I don't want to think about this one because I'm terrible. Okay. So it is interesting to note that the return card for me is actually like a journey that's happening. I think that's interesting. So they return to their familiar situation. They're no longer the same person, but they are now using that water energy, that air energy, in addition to their wand energy. I like it. I like it. Christine got 4 of Pentacles. Interesting. No worries, Victoria. I will probably, like, the minute this is over, I'm going to have an angry dog at me, so I feel you. Ooh, I like that, Benedict. Yeah, I think Temperance is a great card to speak on balance and I think maybe also like abstaining from stuff as well. And maybe that abstaining from things is what helps you achieve balance, which is interesting because like abstaining in and of itself isn't like a very moderate sort of idea, and moderate balance, you know. I'm just using words now. Okay, so our last card, they return to their familiar situation having changed. So let's see who our character is now. Ooh, okay. I like this. So we've got the 7 of Pentacles. So this is an interesting card. It's a dude standing, like it's like basically he's been raking up leaves, but there's pentacles in the leaves. So he's looking at the pile of everything that he's created right here. So I think maybe in this way, our character has gotten some worldly delights through this adventure. Not necessarily money, but maybe now they have a better understanding of what they want out of life and what they want out of their existence here on the planet. So it could be money, but it could also be like a sense of balance achieved from like for how they view money and earthly delights, but completely up to you. A lot of people read Pentacles differently. I don't ever think of them as solely money. I think money's part of it, but it's more like how we feel about money and the things we spend our money on. So that's how I roll with it. So, ooh, interesting. Benedict got Justice for the end card. Like, that's a perfect ending card right there. Christine says perfect ending card. It is fascinating. It's also confusing me a lot today. I feel like maybe I needed that second cup of coffee that I decided not to have, and I regret now. The Sage says, 2 powerful mages, one steeped in privilege, the other bound by a moral code. The lapis moon that gives them their power is destroyed, their lives are changed, and difficult choices must be made. Okay, so that's the book that Sage mentioned. Let me find that comment. Where did it go? I can't remember the name of it. Oh, I don't know where it is. Come on, chat. Oh, yeah, there it is. The End of Magic by Mark Stay. So that's what that's the story about. I like it. Oh, Sarah got the Tower. Well, the Tower isn't always bad, she said with a little smile on her face in her overly optimistic way. So I always think of the Tower as upheaval. So it could be like overthrowing a bad government. It could be like getting out of a bad situation. It could also be like lightning striking your house and you having to move. So it's a lot of things. But yeah, that's interesting. So like everything has changed with the Tower. That makes sense. Christine says, I got 9 of Swords, tragedy, releasing worry is another aspect. So I might go with that one. Yeah, I think that would work there for sure. Okay, so let me read this story to you and kind of where I think it's gone. Because I think that, I think we've got a good story here. So we have our magician who has all this energy, but wants to achieve a certain level of success with it. So our magician goes out into the world, like they leave the small farm they were raised on and they go out into the big city and they're going to help people with their magic. In doing so, they catch the eye of the grand ruler of the kingdom and are given all sorts of accolades, and they're able to use their magic for good. And now they, in getting what they wanted, they are now very active, but learning to balance the emotions and the intellectual side of all of this because they've just been using energy like crazy. They realize that they've paid a very high price in this partnership with the king, and that really their goal in life needs to be a solo path. So they leave this kingdom in the big city because they have to walk this path alone in order to know more about themselves. So they return to where they came from so that they can get a better sense of who they are. And they're a different person now because they're wading through all the emotions of this journey, and they still have these barriers put up, these boundaries within themselves, because now they know that they need those boundaries in order to really thrive in this situation. And then they come home and realize that, they didn't need to achieve this greatness. What they needed to do was to realize what was really important in life in the first place. So that's how I'm reading it. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it. So let's see what we got here. Sage says, change, Knight of Pentacles, visitors, message to share. Ooh, interesting. Christine says the Tower is the world right now. It really is. Like, a lot of things are changing. A lot of things, there's a lot of upheaval, a lot of stress, but I think that great changes are being made and voices that we have not heard in a long time are being heard. And I think that that's really important. Callie says 6 of Swords, someone is running away from a place, thing, or feeling. Could be Gwen fleeing death with Merlin's help. Could be. I like that. Going all the way to the Isle of Avalon. Christine says, I'm getting serious Ursula K. Le Guin vibes for your story, Marissa. Thank you. I like it a lot. Like, I like the idea of putting it in kind of like that medieval sort of fantasy world, but my thought just now, like when you said Ursula K. Le Guin, is like, what if she wrote like an urban fantasy? Like, what would this story look like? Would it be like a little tarot reader going to the metaphysical shop in downtown and like reading cards for people? Like, would it be smaller stakes or would it be bigger? Who knows? I don't know. That's just me thinking weird thoughts. So yeah. Well, okay, guys, how do we feel about this overall story? What do we got? Any other theories? Any other ideas? I'm interested to know what you think here. Sage says I might need to draw some clarifiers, but right now I'm feeling a kind of Garden State Schitt's Creek mashup for my story. I love that. Those are two stories that are really fun. I am obsessed with Schitt's Creek, you guys. It's so much fun to watch. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. I haven't seen the final season yet because it's not on Netflix yet, but once it is, I'm all over it. Sarah says, I definitely don't always see the tower as bad. Sometimes we need to tear it all down ourselves and make the change happen to make things better. Agreed. Also, I always think of the tower as like therapy, because when you go to therapy, you're like tearing stuff down and like all these ideas you had about how life was, and then you're really analyzing it, tearing that down, and then building something new. So I think it has a bunch of layers of meaning, you know, like it can be in the physical world, it can be in your mental headspace, it can be in your emotional world, like it's all sorts of things. All right, gang. Whew. Let's see. The story sounds super interesting, but I'm biased. Give me all the witchy magic stories. For real, I'm like obsessed with witchy magical stuff right now. Oh, hey, Melanie, good to see you. Benedict says, I already had a story in my head, so that might have influenced the cards I drew, but it was good. It gave my main character a bit more personality before she goes on her adventure. I like that. Callie says, 7 of Pentacles, he has reaped what he has sowed, and he is content. Yep, I like that version of that reading of the card. Ooh. Sarah says, your overall story is pretty cool. I'd read it. Still gotta figure out mine. It confuses me. I feel that. Yeah. Sometimes, like, I think sometimes the story comes to pass, but like other times you got to think about it for a while. The downside of doing this as a live stream is there's not a whole lot of time to think about it. So yeah, but I think overall that was pretty good. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. I want to thank you guys for showing up and drawing tarot cards with me. This was a lot of fun, and I really appreciated all the new faces that we had today. Don't forget, next Saturday I'll be live. I know I skipped a Saturday. It was an important Saturday to skip. I will be live next Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, and I will be outlining using the 3-act structure in my tarot cards. So it's basically the same thing. We'll see how it goes next time with the 3-act structure. Maybe I'll be prepared for this live a little bit earlier than like 3 minutes before I go on, but probably not, because that's not how I roll. So I want to thank you guys for showing up. If you have, what was I going to say? I don't know what I was going to say. Anyway, so if you like live writing sprints, I know there's a lot going on today. I didn't check the schedule beforehand because I was running late, but, you know, just kind of keep an eye out. Also, on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time, which is 5 p.m. South African Standard Time, Sage Gordon Davis goes live for some live writing sprints. I will be there after a phone call because I have like a running call at 10 for like the next month or two. But I will be there later. And then also on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, I will be doing live writing sprints. And then I know that there are a lot going on this week. I need to get that spreadsheet. I should have, you know, gotten you guys a link to that spreadsheet that Carol Brown has going on. But it basically tells you when all the live streams are happening. It's a good resource. So definitely take a look at that because there's a lot of live streams going on, and I want to advertise as many as possible, but I forgot who is live on what days because my brain is Swiss cheese. So thank you everyone for showing up. Oh, Sako is doing live sprints right now. So if you go to Sako Toomey's channel, she is doing live sprints right then. So everybody have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for joining me for this crazy adventure. I will see you next week, and happy writing, gang. Thank you for joining me.